أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنما المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون. Surely all believers are brothers, so make peace between your brothers and fear Allah, that mercy may be shown to you. My dear brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Let me tell you first that I came to America in 1996, leaving all my family, my brothers and sisters, everybody back home in Pakistan. I have 3 brothers and I miss them. I miss them all the time, and those of you who live on the East Coast, you remember it was the year of the big snow. So I had a lot of time to sit home, ponder, and reconsider everything in my life. And despite a born Ahmadi, the days to come were to force me to read everything one more time, to reconsider, to just go over those conditions of death that I always knew and reanalyze them. Those of you sitting here must be wondering, where's the connection? What's the point of my personal life with the conditions of death, with the topic of my speech, which is brotherhood and obedience? Let me start by requesting that I will try to explain the first connection now, and I will explain the second connection in about 10 minutes. When I started reading the conditions of Bai'at, and I will request you to get your attention towards the 10th conditions of Bai'at, where Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam says that he shall enter into a bond of brotherhood with this humble servant. This humble servant of God, pledging obedience to me in everything good. This is not a coincidental choice of words, and this is not a coincidental sequence of language either. I have to tell you that I will be talking about a very particular brand, a very particular subtype of obedience today, because it's a vast topic. Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam first asks us for a bond of brotherhood, and then goes on to ask for a pledge of obedience. There has to be some wisdom in it. The way I see it, that if you think of brotherhood like a tree full of leaves, and then the shade of that tree is the obedience. It's an effortless phenomenon. You shouldn't have to worry about it. You shouldn't have to work for it. It comes to you automatically. And when I try to apply that concept on the history of Islam, I was fascinated, to say the least. Because whenever I looked at an exemplary obedience, all those examples of obedience that we've always heard, I found an exemplary brotherhood with that. Let's start from the Awwaleen. Let's start 1400 years ago. We all know Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought the true message of Islam. And the whole Mecca knew he was Sadiq and Ameen. Whole Mecca, everybody knew he was Sadiq, he was Ameen. But then why Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq raziyallahu ta'ala anhu, why Hazrat Ali raziyallahu ta'ala anhu, and why Hazrat Khadija raziyallahu ta'ala anha were the first of the believers? Probably because they had a bond of love, a bond of brotherhood, a bond of kinship with Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it took them a second to pledge their obedience. Let's go to the time of Badr, to be exact, 1382 years ago. That's the time when Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was trying to find the commitment of his Muhajireen and Ansar before the battle. And one of the Ansar, Sahabi, whose name was Hazrat Saad bin Muaz raziyallahu ta'ala anhu, he figured that out, and he said, अब जब कि हमने अपना हाथ आपके हाथ में दे दिया है, तो जहां चाहे हमें ले चले. He says, Ya Rasulullah, now that we've given our hand in your hand, You take us wherever you wish. And we swear upon that Allah who has stationed you with truth, that if you ask all of us to jump in the ocean, all of us will jump and not a single one of us will stay behind. What is that? Is that obedience? Is that brotherhood? I'm at a loss. Help me. But then let's go a year ahead. The time of Uhud. Most of us think of that one sad incident of disobedience. But even at the time of Uhud, when the enemy had when the Muslim army had sustained heavy losses, look at what Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was doing. He's going over those mutilated bodies, trying to identify them. And the first body that he can recognize is Hazrat Hamza, his uncle. The next body he goes over is Hazrat Abdullah, his cousin. And that's the time when you think of Hazrat Saad bin al-Rabi raziyallahu ta'ala anhu, who was one of the chiefs of Ansar. Imagine, this is a prophet whose family is slaughtered in front of him, and he's thinking of a brother who he remembered during the battle was surrounded by enemies. And he goes and asks another Sahabi that go look for Saad, because he's worried about him. Hazrat Abi Ka'b raziyallahu ta'ala anhu goes around over those mutilated bodies looking for Hazrat Saad. And he's screaming at the top of his lungs, "Oh Saad, where are you? Oh Saad, can you hear me?" And he goes on over those mutilated bodies and he's unable to locate Hazrat Saad. As it turns out, Hazrat Saad bin al-Rabi was alive. And he was badly wounded and did not have the energy to respond to that call. And Hazrat Abi Ka'b one more time says, "Oh Saad, can you hear me?" And then he's almost ready to give up that search and he's trying to turn back. And that's when it hits him that I have not relayed the right message. And one last time he goes, "Oh Saad, can you hear me? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is asking for you. He's looking for you." And that is the time when Hazrat Saad says that a flicker of energy came into his body and he said, "Yes, I can hear you." Hazrat Ka'b approaches him and he says, "Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is looking for you." And Hazrat Saad says, "My brother, I don't have the energy. Say my salam to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And say my salam to my other Muslim brothers and go tell the brothers of my tribe that if anything happens to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in their lives, they will have no excuse in front of Allah." This was the love of the followers of Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hazrat Muhammad, come on brothers like Ahmadi Muslim brothers, Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, was this your obedience or was this your love to the man for whom this whole universe was created? And then let's talk about the Akhirin. And by the grace of Allah, you are all among the Akhirin. Going back to 115 years ago, no discussion on obedience or brotherhood will be complete without the name Nuruddin, our beloved Hazrat Khalifatul Masihul Awwal raziyallahu ta'ala anhu. And I know you've heard his examples of obedience and his examples of brotherhood over and over again. So today I would like to focus the attention on that bond of brotherhood that existed between Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam and Hazrat Khalifatul Masihul Awwal.